What's good, everybody? You're listening to the Glow Up Podcast. We are a part of the Soundcasting Network here in Seattle, Washington. I'm Ms. Casey Carter.
I'm Naomi Raven.
And we want to remind everybody to rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you listen to podcasts. And we are on YouTube as well. And we want to remind y'all to sign up for that Glow Gang Spotlight so we can feature your small business on our platform and, you know, get some extra business in your life.
Yes, and you'll get to check out the Spotlight when you sign up for or when you subscribe to our email list. And there are special and exclusive discounts when you do so. So go ahead and click that link in our bio and subscribe.
Yes, and please excuse the dogs. The Paw Patrol is on full effect today. So if you hear that, you know that's Bolton Soju trying to get on the glow up. We got to shout out Susan from the W Marketplace. What an amazing episode last week. Thank you so much for coming. And she said it was like her first interview, her first podcast. Yeah, not at all. So thank you so much. Check out the W Marketplace and check out episode 190 if you haven't had a chance. This week, sorry, Naomi, I took that from you, but I'll let you get this one.
No, this week we are with Karlton Dennis, the Tax Alchemist, and I am so excited because I need to know what to do with my money and to do it right.
Yes, we do not want them IRS mail coming to our house, so we're gonna try to get our things right. But before we begin, let's hop into our weekly wins and lessons. Let's let our guest go first. Yeah. Karlton, do you have any wins or lessons that happened to you this week?
You know what? I think the biggest lesson for me this week was staying the course. I think there's so many things that can get thrown your way, so many things that get added to your calendar that can be unexpected. And rather than allowing your emotions to creep in, I believe in just kind of staying disciplined and staying the course. So that's a lesson for anyone out there, especially entrepreneurs. Nothing's perfect. We don't live in a perfect world. You're never going to have that perfect amount of time to work on your business. So we just try to stay the course.
I'm using that next week. Right before we started recording, I time blocked my morning for next week. So I'm going to try really, really hard to stick to it. So thank you for that extra little motivation right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Naomi, how about you?
Yeah, mine is kind of a lesson. Generally, I am the type of person who, when confronted with a hard situation, you know, I want to sugarcoat it. I want to lay it out nicely. But sometimes you have to lay out your cards face up and be transparent to benefit both you and the other party in whatever situation it is. And so that was my lesson this week, to be courageous in doing so. And it was beneficial because my heart's at peace.
Yay, I love that.
Awesome. I like that.
Well, I have a big win because I overcame my I overcame my fear of opening up about something I've been going through for the past couple of years, and that's my infertility journey. I'm very private with my life, and you know, I just don't like to share a lot of things that are going on in my personal life. And this was one big thing that I've been hiding from the world. Only so many people, like a handful of people, knew about this. And I decided to do a vlog and open up and talk about my journey. And I feel so much better because there's been so many parts that I wanted to show along the journey that I haven't been able to share just because no one knew I was going through this. And now I feel like I'll be able to be what I had when I went through something. And that's like support and showing that people are not alone in this. Because when I went through my recent loss, I turned to YouTube and watched other women be vulnerable and courageous and share their story. And there was nothing that could have made me feel better but that. So it was good to be that for others, and just having a platform and, you know, being able to be like, hey, I'm here with you guys as well. And then opening people's eyes to this, because so many people keep it on the hush. We all hide this. Yeah. We all feel shame. And I feel so much better. So that was a huge win for me. So if you're out there and you're going through this or have questions, don't ever hesitate to hit me up. I have more than enough information because of all the trials and everything I've gone through. And we are not going to be giving up until we have our little rainbow baby. So follow me along that journey. All right, let's get into the vibe check. Is there anything that you are currently vibing with, Karlton?
You know, I'm vibing with this new Drake that was released. I know you guys probably didn't expect me to say that. I'm not your typical CPA that's sitting behind a computer every day. So when I woke up Friday morning to some new Drake, I was excited and I'm vibing with this. I'm probably gonna be vibing with it all weekend.
Yo, he really came through. He's setting it up. He's setting it up right now for that certified lover boy. I'm excited. Yes. Naomi, how about you?
Mine is kind of bland. It's just music in general. Because lately throughout the week, it's just been my pick-me-up. Like I've felt I was on my lunch. I had gospel music playing in the background. I caught myself just crying on my lunch. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, that was really impactful. And so just seeing how music really can hit your soul, it's been beautiful for me this week and I've enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. Yes. I have a quick plug on Drake because yes, super fire. But I also have to quickly plug Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak, their Silk Sonic. I love them both. And the fact that they're coming together, they're going to make music that's going to it's forever music. And that new Leave the Door Open single. Ooh, I love them. So I'm excited for that. But what I'm really vibing with is the Nate Jackson Comedy Club. I finally got to go out last night. He's a local, he's a comedian who lives here, but he's like on the new show that The Rock is putting out about his life. And Nate is just like a freaking superstar. And he's finally able to open up this comedy club that he's talked about it on the show before. But I went out last night with Jarv, his mom, and Patrice, and we were just in tears the whole time. It was a great show. It felt great to get out. Yesterday was the anniversary of when the world shut down for me, because that's when the office I was working at sent us home or made us stay home. So I was like, oh my God, this is our little pandemic anniversary. Yeah. And here we are with our masks on. And it was a great time. So shout out to Nate Jackson. I had such an amazing time. I was in tears, and he has an amazing lineup coming up. So check it out at superfunnycomedyclub.com and cop tickets. It was amazing if you're looking for a good time out. Well, before we talk to Karlton, we're going to hop into this quick break and we'll be right back. All right, you guys, we are back with the Tax Alchemist, Karlton Dennis. Thank you again for joining us today. We're so excited to get to know you. Before we hop into before you get to educate us on all this tax stuff, we want to get to know you a little bit. Tell us about your background. Where did you grow up?
Well, first off, thank you guys for having me on the show, Casey and Naomi. Pleasure to be here with you guys, and I'm happy to share my story with your audience. I grew up in California, so I'm a California boy, Southern California, and I grew up in a tiny city called La Palma. And growing up, I've always played sports. I went on to college and got a full ride scholarship. Got out of college, decided to become a personal trainer in Hollywood and started training all these celebrities. Got into a huge tax problem because I wasn't budgeting my money for my own business and the taxes I had to pay. Went to my mother, who has been running a tax and accounting company for over 20 years. She showed me how to set up a corporation and how to take all these write-offs and pretty much just get out of all this tax trouble I was in. And so I realized that this was pretty easy for me to share with all these other people that I was working with in the fitness industry. So after helping them, I realized, you know what? I can charge way more for tax strategy advice than I could charge to sell you a program to help you lose weight. And so I changed careers, got my tax license, started working with business owners, real estate investors, celebrities, entrepreneurs, you name it. And now it's fun being able to coach and educate people and being able to connect with like-minded people like you guys.
I love that. I love when people run into issues and then they create the solution for themselves and make it a business. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you said you made that switch. Did you have to go back to school?
So when I made the switch to decide to become an accountant, one of the things that I chose to do was, rather than becoming a CPA, someone who's a certified public accountant, I decided to become an enrolled agent. And so an enrolled agent is pretty much the highest designation that the IRS allows. Mainly, a lot of enrolled agents have an accounting background. Rather than going back to accounting, I just went straight in and started studying tax law. So it was a lot of long nights, a lot of hard hours, kind of just digging in through the book. But I was able to pass those tests. And just being thrown into the fire and dealing with my own situations, it kind of gave me that charisma and that energy to go through it. And so, yeah, I didn't have to go back to school. I just went straight into getting my tax license.
And then,
go ahead, Naomi.
And then I want to ask, was your mom shocked to kind of see you follow kind of in her footsteps after getting her help?
She was. You know, it was funny. It's because I joined her company at first just so I can help myself get out of my tax problem. I was like, let me join your company. I have a sales background. I'll implement a sales department since you don't even have a sales department. You're all word of mouth. You speak on the news channel. How about I implement like a sales process? After I started working in her company, I realized the type of income she was making by selling tax planning. And so I shifted my focus on working on my own business, which was my fitness business. And I started really trying to help her out while I was there. And when I started doing that, that's when my passion started to grow. And then I wanted more credibility. When you're starting to work with people who are doing 200,000, you can get by without having maybe the highest qualification of tax license. But when you start to work with people who are doing 10, 20, and 200 million, you're going to want to have that credibility. So I went and got my tax license. And then what was funny was I started investing in real estate and doing some of the things that my clients were doing. And so naturally, it just allowed me to appeal to them.
Can you share what that tax problem was?
Yes.
As much as you can, so that we know what we need to be on the lookout for.
So coming out of college, right, starving college kid, got a job for Gallo Wine Company, which was my first career as a W-2 job. And it paid me pretty well. It was about like 50, 60 grand a year, but I knew I wanted more income. So I started my side business, right? I kept doing personal training. And when I was doing personal training, I started connecting with some really big entrepreneurs and celebrities. So I started charging a little bit more, and I got around to about $30,000, $40,000 worth of income that I wasn't expecting to make. Well, when I went to go file my tax returns, I owed about $15,000 on that income that I had made, because there's self-employment tax, federal tax, state tax, sales tax. I was getting hit with tax left and right. I mean, it was like being inside of a ring with Mike Tyson. I was taking all types of punches that I wasn't expecting to take. So when I got past that situation of realizing that I had to pay $15,000 of money that I had already spent back into my business, I had to get on a payment plan with the IRS. No one likes being in debt to the government, especially when you already have other debts like a car payment, a cell phone, right, coming out of college. So for me, it was a big eye opener. I said, you know what? I'm going to join my mother's company. I'm going to spend more time working on my business so I can get myself out of this debt. So I'll be able to work on creating more online training programs for my fitness clients. And when I did that, I joined a company that was already thriving. They were already selling tax preparation and selling tax planning services. My programs that I was selling were $500 a month. The tax planning services were about $5,000 a month. So it didn't matter how hard I was working on my fitness business, I was never going to outsell what I could have done inside of my mother's company. And so eventually I started to see that. And then I even saw how much knowledge was helping me grow my business. And so that's when I made the switch and I became a tax strategist.
Were you terrified? Because like I said, don't nobody want to get them kind of that kind of message, that kind of notification.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That is scary.
It was scary. That was probably why my tail was between my leg and I had to call my mom the tax guru, right? And she immediately told me it wasn't something to be afraid of. Awesome. Because when you're owing the IRS, as long as you are trying to comply and try to get yourself into a place where you're paying it back, they're not coming after you, not coming after your bank accounts, they're not coming after your house where you live, any of that, which is what most people fear, right? Someone knocking on the door or these notices saying that they're just going to drain your bank accounts. This is when you get to a place where you're avoiding tax completely. Okay. And so after studying more tax law, I realized that there's some people who are just trying to avoid tax. And then there's some people who just can't afford to pay the tax. And those people who can't afford to pay the tax, the IRS will work with you.
That's awesome because, yeah, I feel like television and movies, they make you just think that once you receive when you owe, it's like your life is over. Like, you know, you're running. And I think that makes people run, you know, it makes people avoid. So it's good to know that if you work with them, they will not come after you like that. Okay. Now, it's so funny because I know you probably heard of like LLC Twitter. Like everybody is just like on their high horse. Everybody is like, you need an LLC or you're not doing it. But it's like, then you have these people who are promoting SCorp, and it's like, everyone just thinks they know, everyone thinks they're right when it comes to telling you what to do with your business.
Right.
And there's so much information out there, but you don't know like what's right. So like, what is the way to go? Like, let's say let's break it down with like a personal brand, like an influencer, or like a podcast or a clothing brand. Like what's the right way to go?
Yeah. So I love that we're getting into this conversation of the whole LLC SCorp thing, because so many people, especially new business owners, go to Google, and the first thing that Google tells them is, oh, jump on LegalZoom, set up an LLC for like $375, right? And then they go to YouTube, and then there's people saying, well, you need an S corporation. And it's just like, okay, well, like, which one am I supposed to do? And then if you go on social media, there's tons of gurus out there telling you all the different things about LLCs and S corps. So it just confuses you. What it comes down to is the type of income you're earning. It's not really what type of entrepreneur you are. It's what type of income you're earning as an entrepreneur. And when I say what type of income, there's ordinary income from working a job, such as being a W-2 employee or deciding to sell your services or provide products online. And then there's investment income from owning an investment property, such as rental real estate. And so anytime you have investment income, you want investment income to go inside of an LLC. But anytime that you're working in a business where you're providing services or products, this is earned income. And earned income has self-employment tax. And so you'll see a lot of gurus get online saying, hey, I want you to switch your LLC to an S corp so you don't have to pay self-employment tax. Just so you guys are aware, self-employment tax is just a nasty, yucky 15.3% that goes on top of your federal taxes to the I, the R, and the S, and on top of your state taxes. So it's kind of like pulling out a shotgun and shooting yourself in the foot when you're a new business owner, because you're like, I wasn't expecting all of this tax. And LLCs and sole proprietors pay self-employment tax. But it doesn't make sense to just go set up an S corp right away, because sometimes, depending on where you live, it's more expensive to have an S corporation. You may pay a couple of $1,000s a year to have an S corp versus maybe only couple of $100s a year for your LLC. So,
okay, there we go.
Right
from the expert, right there, you guys.
Hopefully that was simple enough. It's based off of just your income. And guys, if you want to know what that threshold is, it's right when your business has net income. So after all expenses, after you've written everything off, if you still have profit, net income in your business of about $40,000 or more, now you're at a place where the benefits outweigh the cost to no longer paying that 15.3% self-employment tax and just getting yourself over into an S corp.
Ooh, come on,
Where
y'all.
can we find the information? You said it's based on state or like where you live. And I know that like every state has its own tax laws. Where can we find information on that to know like if it's cheaper not to have an S corp where you live?
Absolutely. So unfortunately, there's no place online that is just giving this information away. So you might want to visit, my YouTube channel.
Hey.
Where I am providing this information. I'm just at Karlton Dennis on YouTube, and as well as on my Instagram, we talk about the different states, the state filing fees. As well, guys, if you want, you can schedule a free consultation so we can see what it would cost in your particular state based on your situation.
Love it.
Yes. So in one of your recent videos that I watched, I learned that I should not be celebrating at the beginning of the year when I am getting a check back from the IRS, because I should be collecting my full checks when I'm getting paid for my hard-earned money. Why is it that we're so conditioned to wanting to get that big refund at the beginning of the year? And then I also want to ask, even if we're getting a refund, is there a chance that we're still getting gypped on money that we earned?
Yes and yes. So we're going to address this very slow because I don't want to get people lost on it. I'm not a fan of refunds. And part of the reason why I'm not a fan of refunds is because you're getting your money back that you overpaid on taxes. And most people don't understand that. They don't understand that. So if I'm overpaying on taxes, doesn't that mean that I could have just earned more money every single paycheck then?
Right.
And if time value of money, TMV, time value of money, tells me that the cost of living is going to continue to go up, the government is continuing to print more money, which means that there's inflation, our dollar bill, the value of the dollar bill is going down. I would rather have more of my dollar bills now so I can invest it to make more money rather than wait 365 days when I file my tax returns just to get back that extra couple of $1,000s that I could have received on every single paycheck. So those who love getting back huge refunds, you're playing yourself because you're actually earning less money throughout the year just to get back a refund that the government should have gave you on every single paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now my eyes are open. But you know what? Also, I've been hit with like the past few years where I'm having to pay. So I'm like, okay, I'm not in this. But then now I'm happy that I'm like, okay, I'm not in the same. I make more money now. Hey, okay.
And it's always different, Casey, when you're self-employed. Obviously, self-employed is completely different. W-2 employees kind of have that control. When you're self-employed, your income fluctuates, so you kind of need to really be in control of what your taxes are going to look like ahead of time.
Okay. Now, we can tell you're a busy man. And, you know, if they can't work with you, what is your advice to those looking for like a tax specialist or a CPA? And like, how much can we expect to spend? And besides obvious vibes, like what if I can't read those and like I can't tell you're a snaky person? Like what are some things that will show that this person is a trustable source?
Yeah. So first off, you want to work with someone who's going to give you a free consultation. Let that person show you what they're capable of doing for you. And hopefully they're talking some type of numbers like, hey, based off of what I'm seeing here, this is how much I'm anticipating us to save. I would love to partner with you because of these reasons. Like this person can't just be talking rainbows and ponytails and let's get you into a trust and a corporation and get you infinite banking. And you have to take it one step at a time by just understanding what your client's needs are and then providing value from there.
Awesome. I love that because there be people who just be like, okay, sign up and we'll take care of it. I've had somebody who tried to help me with my credit and just took my money, you know, and had they provided me with a consultation and showed me the information, it's like real estate, you know, you have this consultation that happens before. So I love that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I kind of want to ask a hard question. You are a Black man in the financial world. I can see that being super beneficial to you and also like kind of a wall sometimes. So I want to ask, do you feel like people take you serious as a Black man in the financial world, as well as is your clientele diverse?
Yes. So our clientele is actually extremely diverse. And I would have to say that's kudos to Carla, my mother, and what she's been able to do over the years. I mean, just her ability to market herself and carry herself in the fashion that she carries herself in, it attracts all types of races. I mean, you don't see too many Black accountants, especially accountants with the credibility that Carla and myself have. So one of the challenging things was getting credibility, right? And so one of the most important things was making sure that everything that we say is politically correct. It's already, you know, a challenge that our skin color may be the way it is. So even more so, I want to make sure that the information I'm speaking on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter is actually correct. And I'm not leading people down the wrong road because it's really hard to build back that credibility. And so I'm inspired by some of the others who've come before me. I'm not the only Black accountant out there, but it's exciting to be in this shoes that I'm in. I'm definitely seeing that the sky's the limit from here.
Yes, I love to see it.
Yes.
It looks like we got a question from one of our viewers. Shout out to Sean. What's good? He's asking, is TurboTax a good tool for the average person to use to file?
I'm going to say yes, Sean. And the reason why is because TurboTax, one, not only teaches you how to file your own tax return when you're just a W-2 taxpayer, it's almost impossible to mess up your tax returns when you're just a W-2 taxpayer on TurboTax. Like they've really made it pretty easy to where it's not even going to process if you mess something up. And part of the reason why when you're just a W-2 employee, it sometimes makes sense to go to TurboTax is because your CPA isn't going to be able to do anything fancy or creative for you if you're just a W-2 income earner. You're so limited on your deductions that TurboTax is going to make sure that it asks you all the questions that a normal CPA is going to ask you. It's not until you start to get 1099 business income or you get investment income is when you want to start to speak with a specialist so you can see what deductions you qualify for and what strategies you can leverage.
Let's talk about this investment tax stuff because, you know, we saw a few months, I mean, like earlier this year, that everyone is just like what is that? Like a stock market expert too, not on top of being an LLC expert. So what are some of the things that people don't realize? Like I saw a lot of people not understanding, like, yeah, once you buy in and then you pull out, like you're paying a lot of money in taxes that you're not aware of.
Yeah. So I think it's so important to address the fact that so many people think that just because they're doing trades inside of their Robinhood accounts, TD Ameritrade accounts, Webull accounts, you name it, that they're not going to pay taxes on these trades just because they're not pulling it out into their personal bank accounts. Just because that money is sitting inside of that account doesn't mean you're not going to receive a 1099 at the end of the year reporting your gains. And if you sold stock less than 365 days, you're going to pay taxes at the normal federal tax rates that you normally pay taxes at and the normal state tax rates. You're not going to get that capital gain 20% or 15% tax unless you held onto your stocks for longer than 365 days before selling them.
Okay, so obviously the smart thing to do is to hold on to it and not be somebody who's super quick with it.
Yeah, and if you call yourself an investor, chances are you're probably not just selling it quick, unless you're a day trader or and that's your profession, and it's all speculative for you. But if you're someone who's a true investor, then you're picking stocks that you plan on holding on to for at least 5-10 years.
Okay, it seems like everyone is with those apps. They just want to be quick and hop on the GameStop and all that stuff. So, y'all hold on to your stocks.
Yeah,
it's a long game. It's a long game.
It is. It is.
Our goal is to educate and motivate our entrepreneurs that are listening. We want to put them in the best position that we can so that they don't get hit by the IRS or whatever it might be to make their journey more difficult in their business. What are 3 common mistakes that small businesses make when it comes to their taxes?
The number one mistake, that business owners make is poor record keeping. And I know it's kind of something that's boring to talk about, but if you aren't on top of your bookkeeping, you aren't a business owner. And that's just how I view it. It's one thing to be able to make money. It's one thing to be able to account for the money you're making and account for the expenses. And if you can't do the latter, how can you call yourself a real business? Because you aren't able to make financial decisions in real time. You're just doing things by the fly of the wind. So I'm the type of person that I always need to know my numbers before I make a financial decision. But if my books are going back to November and I'm sitting here in March, and I don't even have my books reconciled, how can I make a decision on whether or not it makes sense for me to buy a car, a new MacBook Pro, or a new Sony camera for my business just because I see money's coming in, right? So that is absolutely the number one thing, is getting your record keeping right. Number 2, if you're behind on your record keeping, chances are you might miscategorize your expenses. Something may be supplies to me, but it may be marketing to you. And how do you know if you're categorizing your expenses correctly? Did someone teach you how to categorize your expenses? And so it's so important that outside of just having your record keeping in order, that you're aware of how to even categorize your expenses. Because when the IRS looks at your tax return and you have miscellaneous as a category on your taxes, as a deduction, they are absolutely going to think about auditing you. Just like I would think about auditing you if I was an IRS auditor. Because guess what? No one knows what miscellaneous means, right? So categorizing your expenses has to be the second thing. And 3, you miss your deductions because you don't understand what is ordinary, what is necessary in the pursuit of income for your business as a deduction. That is code section 162A. A lot of business owners go on Google because they think they're just going to find a list of things that they can write off. Guys, there's no list inside the IRS tax code of what you can and can't write off. It doesn't say stapler, pencil, rulers. It doesn't say that in the IRS tax code. It says code section 162A. What is ordinary to your business? What is necessary to your business? What is reasonable to your business in the pursuit of income can be taken as a business deduction. So the better you come in touch with that tax law, the more you're going to be able to leverage your deductions to reduce your taxable income. Thank you for that question.
Yes.
I love your style of, it's like people want to call themselves investors or entrepreneurs and things like that. And you are taking it back and being like, look in the mirror, bruh. Is that what you really are? Because you ain't doing 1, 2, and 3. So I really like how you do that. Because then that's how I learn. Like when you tell me something about myself, I'd be like, oh, okay. You know, I like that bluntness. So I respect that. Sean, with another question. I love it. This is the first time we've had people hop in. So this is great. Last question is, he wants to know, should young entrepreneurs be putting money away in some sort of retirement account or keeping that money within the business?
I love this. So I think that entrepreneurs should be doing both. Starting out, you should be putting money into retirement, because as an entrepreneur, no one's building the retirement for you. And so many entrepreneurs forget that. It's like, you don't have a 401k unless you go create one for yourself. So you can set up a self-directed solo 401k where you have control over where your investment money is going, which is kind of nice, right? Additionally, if you're putting money into your own solo 401k or your set plan, whichever type of qualified retirement plan you set up, you get a tax deduction based on putting money into those plans. Not to mention, some of my clients, a lot of my clients actually, they love real estate. And they like to use some of the money that they put into those retirement accounts to invest in real estate without paying penalties. You're able to use your self-directed solo 401ks to invest in rental real estate. So whereas you're getting a tax deduction in your own business for growing your retirement account, you can use your retirement money to invest back into rental real estate to grow your own passive income. Guys, absolutely, this should be something you're doing, and that's a strategy.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to re-listen to this, because I'm like, I gotta take my notes. Thank you so much, Karlton. Like, you guys go to his Instagram page, because and YouTube, he is providing so much information to help us all out. And, you know, a lot of people like to hoard their information. And I thank people like you who are not afraid to put the game out there, because there's a lot of really great information on there. So thank you so much for being a good resource.
I'll say one more thing on that, Casey, and thank you for that comment. Something was told to me when I was really young as an entrepreneur. I'm 27 years old now, so still growing in this journey of life. But when I was younger, starting out 23 years old, back when I was still doing personal training, I was afraid to share all of my information online. I was afraid to give away the tidbits. I was so scared that other people were going to take my information, use my information, and then my voice was just going to be muffled out, and I was just going to be drowned out. That is the exact opposite of what happens when you share information. You think that when you share information that people can just run off and go do everything without you. That's not true. They want to use you even more. They want to support you in your business even more. The more free information I give out, the more I share the tax laws and the tax code with business owners on YouTube, on Instagram, on these channels, the more that they come to me to figure out how to do it, because they're not going to do it themselves. So I encourage you guys to share your information and don't be afraid to do so.
It's beautiful.
Love it. Thank you again, Karlton. Where can they find you, follow you? I know you've shouted out the website. Let's shout it out again, and your Instagram as well.
Absolutely, guys. Karlton with a K. You can find me by just typing me in on Google, Instagram. You can find my podcast at Tax Free Living. Connect with me on Instagram. That's definitely the biggest place. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm pretty much on every single channel you're on. So wherever you like to connect, I like to connect. So I look forward to connecting with you.
I think that's where I found you, on the TikTok.
There it is.
People out there, they don't understand when I tell people that don't use TikTok, they think it's like dances and stuff. And I'm like, I've learned so much on TikTok than I have ever on like any other platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great resource. So I'm glad it connected me to you. Thank you again, Karlton. Yeah. What a great episode. I can't wait to run this back. I hope you guys all took notes out there, because this was a jam-packed episode full of information. Yes, Naomi, do you have anything to share? Anything coming up?
I do not.
Okay. I just want to shout out, make sure to check out my templates. I'm providing information for you guys to take these templates, apply them to your communications when it comes to requesting an interview, putting your media kit together, your EPK kit, as well as, yes, press requests. That's what it is. So make sure to check that out, and new music submissions. And that can be found on my website, MsCaseyCarter.com. Y'all make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us, and follow us on YouTube, and follow us at the Glow Up Cast. And we'll be back next week. Happy Women's History Month.
Thank you, guys.